It was 2 years. Tapos may
2
1 year gap.
years? Tapos hindi pa kayo boyfriend and girlfriend nun?
Syempre, maarte ako dahil bawal daw ako mag-boyfriend. So, technically, hindi po kami nun. So, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Camp Confidence Radio.
Gusto mo yung may tono ka na lagi.
One thing about me, Char.
Tutuloy niya na yon. So anyway, guys, welcome back to another episode of Camp Confidence Radio. Sabi nga ni Madam Rizza, ang dami na naming na chika before we even recorded. But long story short, napag-usapan namin na today we want to talk about the very madrama but also relatable topic of walking away and moving on. Why is that, Madam?
Kailan ba natin sasabihin, ayoko na, I've had enough, I'm leaving, Char.
Wow! Madam, uma-attitude ka na. Is that so much time with me? You spend too much time talking to me. Nagiging ano ka na?
Joke lang.
Nagiging confident, girly.
Yes, feeling ko lang, Madam, with my journey with Camp Confidence Radio, tumaas na talaga yung boundaries ko sa sarili ko. Kasi, eto nga yung gusto ko talagang ikwento at pag-usapan natin today. Kasi way back, parang talagang tiniis ko talaga. Inintay ko talaga. Kahit hindi na ako masaya, I kept on staying. Pero, yun nga, eto ang pagkakwentuhan natin today. Chikahan about when to say no. Chikahan kung kailan ba tayo mag-walk away. And how we can actually see or malalaman natin yung signs kung tama na to. Enough is enough.
I think it's important rin, Madam, to note na when you walk away from something, you also walk towards something better. You know? You also walk towards a clearer path. Lagi kong sinasabi na, hindi kawalan to choose to walk away, especially when you know it's for a good reason.
Tsaka yung choosing to be happy for yourself again. Mga ganon.
I think we're all better off for having walked away from our several stuff. But anyway, sige, Madam, let's talk about the things we walked away from and how we've dealt with them moving forward. So, mag-start tayo sa obvious. Parang obvious naman relationships ang pinag-uusapan mo when you walk away.
Oh my God, walking away. Ano ba? Siguro ang unang-una kong masishare. Alam mo, Madam, siguro ikikwento ko na lang yung first ever high school love ko. Wow! High school love. Although hindi ako yung nag-walk away.
Ikaw yung winakawatan.
Ako yung pinagpalit, Madam. As in, love na love ko talaga siya noon. Alam mo yan, yung super puppy love. You thought na you're going to be together forever, ganyan. Pero oh my gosh, Madam, one summer love, biglang, wala na. Pinagpalit na niya ako. Ilang taon ka nito? Ganon.
Ilang taon
oh my God, third year high school. Sino ka dyan?
15. 15-year-old Rizza.
14, 15-year-old Rizza. Tapos parang, as in talaga, we were always together, ganyan. Pero kasi, di ba nga, sobrang strict ng parents ko. So, hindi ako nakakasama sa mga pagpupunta ng mall or mag-outing, ganyan. So, parang ako, si very studious, tahimik girl, mahinhin tahimik girl, na parang hindi ako pwede lumabas, ganyan. Very masunurin sa magulang, hindi talaga ako rebel nun. So, parang I felt baka nabore siya sa akin, ganyan. Kasi, pero ngayon they're married and happily married. I'm so happy for them. Pero, pag binabalikan ko lang yung 14-year-old Rizza na parang, oh my God, nag-sulk talaga ako noon for a couple of years. Yes, Madam. Hindi ako nakamove on talaga agad. Oh my God, sana hindi nila naririnig to. Sana walang high school friends or nakakarinig nito. Pero yun
Sorry, too
talaga,
late.
as in. Pero alam mo, ang feeling kong ginawa kong coping mechanism nun, although I had very low self-esteem, sabi ko sa sarili ko, hindi pwedeng ganito lang ako lagi. Hindi pwedeng ako yung kinakawawa. Ganon. Parang, bakit sila masaya? Dapat masaya din ako. Ganon. Hindi ako papayag na sa kanila lang ako nakatingin. Ganon. So, alam mo, madam, as in talaga, paganda, skincare, workout, ganun talaga yung ginawa ko as in. As parang now that I'm reflecting about it, siguro ang ginawa ko lang na redemption sa sarili ko noon was telling myself na I should be happy myself. Kasi unfair na sila masaya tas ako hindi. Na parang I have to indulge myself with happiness. So, ano ba yung pwede kong gawin? As in talagang workout ako. Pinasaya ko talaga yung sarili ko as in. In-improve ko talaga ng sobra yung sarili ko. Tapos,
Tapos,
eto
ano
na.
nangyari?
Wala lang. After a couple of years, parang nagkita kami ulit. Tapos parang, wala lang, parang sa isang, hindi party yun, parang get-together lang, high school get-together, na parang sabi niya, oh Riz, you look good. Tapos parang sabi ko, oh thank you. Yun lang, tapos parang umalis ako. Tapos meron akong kadate doon na sobrang cute din. Meron
Kala
akong
mo wala
kadate
siyang
na
asawa. Josh!
Nakwento ko na to lahat kay Josh. Siyempre, na-chika ko na yun lahat sa kanya. Tapos parang si Josh actually, oh talaga, oh buti naman. Oh, yan talaga. Anyway, so ayun, yun yung parang I felt na
Na-vindicate
buti na
ka.
lang talaga. Oo, parang na-realize ko na hindi na ako nagsasulk na malungkot ako dahil sa kanya. Parang parang hinown or binuo ko yung sarili ko kasi I should be whole in the first place. Ayun.
That's true. Oh,
Walking
alam niyo
away
na.
from my kalungkutan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you don't just walk away from people, you also walk away from states of mind. Like, you walk away from mindsets na you let go of. Na,
Yes.
oo nga, at the end of the day, more than just the relationship that didn't work out, you also walked away from self-pitying, yung naawa ka sa sarili mo na sobra, when in fact, you could have been doing something else. So, ayan na siya, workout girl.
Sino ka
And
na?
happily married.
Yes, very much happily married. Sobra.
Hay nako, mga
How about
walking
you?
walking
Eto
away.
na.
Lunok. So I walked away from, I guess since we're still talking about relationships, CNR, I walked away from a very serious relationship. Because, alam niyo naman yung mga story, madam. So, kung hindi niyo pa alam yung story, mag-back listen kayo. kung marites kayo. Meron kaming episode about relationships,
Yep.
etc. But, long story short, I walked away from a very serious relationship where I had put all of my eggs in one basket na talagang like uprooted my life, everything. But I walked away from that. And the reason that I had for walking away was I reflected. Oh my gosh, madam, naaalala ko talaga to. And I still have the journal. I had a journal na I wrote there, Dear 2020 Ayin. As in, I wrote to my 2020 self. This was in 2017. Sabi ko, Dear 2020 Ayin, this is what's going on right now, blah, 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 blah. Alam mo yan, like drama, drama, drama. And then, sa end nung letter, sabi ko, I hope you're making better decisions. Tapos, parang, eventually, like a few weeks after that, I realized I should not wait for my future self to make better decisions when I have the opportunity right in front of me to make better decisions. And hindi ko pwedeng asahan na, oh, next time, I'll just, make sure I get treated better. I shouldn't say that. Instead, like in that moment, kahit mahirap, I had to make the decision to walk away. Kasi nga, it wasn't aligned with my values. It wasn't aligned with like how I saw my future. And it really was a situation that I was like, now why am I even here? So I walked away, even though it was difficult. It was really difficult to walk away because, I mean, just the number one, it was a very public relationship. So, ang daming, parang, alam mo yan, ang hirap eh. Kaya nga ayoko nga mag-reveal na ng B-word ko. Because there's just so much pressure to be an online relationship, especially when people are invested. It's like, when you break up, bakit ganito, ba't ganyan, sino ano, and then all the assumptions. Like, there wasn't even cheating involved or anything like that. But, syempre, people would create their own narratives. And that's what happened. So, it was partly humiliating, syempre having to go back and having to like regret everything na parang ay hindi pala kami together forever. Alam mo yun? Like, it was just hard to have to go through that online and have to tell all of my friends and my family now, oh, you know that guy, that's over now. It was hard. It was hard to walk away from that. And honestly, the easier route would have been to just, yeah, you know what, let's go through with this and
Sige
go
na
na.
lang. Oh.
Sige na lang. Pero hindi eh. I had to walk away for myself. That was me advocating for myself and realizing, parang that moment, I had to choose to grow up and be my own advocate. Because for the longest time, I was a very codependent and ano bang tawag dito? Serial monogamist talaga ako. Like, long-term relationship after long-term relationship. And I really could not break out of that cycle until, eto na, ready ka na ba mag-commit forever? Or like, are you gonna choose yourself this time? And I chose myself. So, for me, I walked away from an engagement. I walked away from literally a future I built already in my head with someone. And then moving on was such a long process. Kasi madam, I was single for almost 4 years. Parang magpo 4 years na before I got a boyfriend. During that time, I lived in a different continent. I was traveling so much. I was building Morena the label. I was building my career as a content creator. As in, like, in the process of moving on, I found myself. Wow! Stop it! But
In the
seriously,
process
though,
of losing everything you owned yourself.
Ow! Madam, writer na tayo talaga. Quotables.
Totoo talaga. Kasi,
But-
alam mo, yun din madami yung pinaka na-realize ko. Kasi, lagi kasing long-term relationships yung akin eh. So, si high school love, although hindi naman kami boyfriend-girlfriend doon, parang it was 2 years. Tapos, may 1
2
year gap.
years? Tapos hindi pa kayo boyfriend-girlfriend nun?
Siyempre, maarte ako dahil bawal daw ako mag-boyfriend. So, technically, hindi po kami nun. So,
anyway.
after a year, may gap. Tas yung ex-boyfriend ko na for 6 years. After nung 6 years, kasi si Josh na. So, yun. Dun sa 6 years ko kasi, madam, parang ganun pa rin. Parang lagi ako nagko-compromise na kahit hindi ako masaya, parang sige na lang. Kasi, yung sabi mo nga kanina, sige na lang. Kasi yung family namin, super close na, mga ganun. Parang you're just staying in a relationship just because it's convenient and sanay ka na. Na
And
hindi ko
safe.
nakikita. And safe.
And safe.
Tsaka parang hindi mo, kumbaga, okay na to, nakasanayan ko na eh. Parang ang hassle naman kung ang tanda ko na, tas makikipag-break pa ako. Paano kapag hindi ako nakahanap ng iba? Tas I was just really, ang tawag dito, compromising nga talaga. Settling. I was just settling. Yun. Tas ang na-realize ko lang talaga, madam, na kailangan talaga sobrang important na buo ka sa relationship. Kasi if you know yourself, if you know kung ano yung boundaries mo. Dati kasi wala akong boundaries. Parang, sige ako mag-a-adjust. Okay lang, no problem. Pero dapat pala sa relationship, now that I am with Josh, na talagang very confident kami with one another, na parang, sabi nga namin, alam mo Josh, kapag mambabae ka, you're an adult, alam mo kung ano yung mangyayari. Alam mo yung mga consequences. If manlalalaki ako, alam ko din kung ano yung mga mawawala at consequences sa atin. Tapos parang alam mo yun, being in that kind of relationship na confident kayo sa isa't isa and you are two separate individuals na
Yes.
nagre-respetohan sa isa't isa, it's, para siyang, it's freeing for me. Kasi 'di ba sabi nila kapag nasa relationship ka dapat you're in a cage, pero hindi dapat ganun. Parang you're free, you should be free to be your own individual selves.
Yeah.
It just happens na you're in a relationship or you're married to each other. Ganun. Pero hindi pala dapat talaga nagko-compromise, hindi dapat masaya ka talaga. If someone is mistreating you, you should walk away or solve it. Mga ganun.
Kasi parang, I don't know, I feel like it comes with age as well. Because when I was younger, I thought this was my whole world. You know, the people that I knew in my community, in my circle, I thought that was everyone that I'd ever come across. As in, super wala akong idea of how much more was out there waiting for me. Up until, I mean, now I'm still discovering what's out there. And it's amazing because nung high school ako, college, when I was a young adult, I was really, well, I'm still a young adult. But when I was in my early 20s, as in, I was really parang, what if I never find anyone? What if girl, there's a whole world out there, literally. And more than just the entire world, you have yourself. And you're gonna be stuck with yourself forever. So take care of that. Make sure that that's okay, that you're okay, and walk away from anything that is compromising that, sense of self. Tapos, nung nalaman ko yun, madam, ang dali na lang mag-date afterwards. Not in the sense na ang dali makahanap ng boyfriend. Because it took me, again, almost 4 years before I met a kabahala guy. But before that, it was easy in the sense na ang dali for me to walk away. Alam mo yun, hindi ako basta-basta na-attach. Naku guys, listen up.
Yes.
Kung madali kayo ma-attach, ay nako, okay. Andito tayo sa medyo lighter part of dating. So hindi naman tayo sa heavy relationships, but like, dun tayo sa dating as a simple activity, char. But kasi naging single nga ako for almost 4 years. And obviously, like, I met a lot of people, but walking away from the wrong people was, madam, it was so easy for me. As in, hindi ako emotionally na-attached. Hindi ako, like, the first person I meet na may interest sa akin, hindi ako na-fall. Alam mo yun? Kasi before, when I was younger, parang kung sino magka-interest sa akin, parang nagkaka-crush din ako sa kanila. Ganyan, parang, girl, ano na? Wala kang standards. But anyway, when I had that pivotal moment of walking away from this like huge deal, this really, like, yeah, it was a long relationship na I thought was gonna be forever. After nun, napadali yung dating life ko because, number one, I knew what I wanted. I knew what I valued. I knew my non-negotiables. And even though it seemed easy to attach and fall in love, kung hindi ma-meet yung mga yun, I realized it's okay. I can walk away. For example, ewan ko, you guys, yung mga OG dito, you probably know about this guy. I had a neighbor in Spain. We called him my neighbor in Spain. Tapos, he was very like, he checked all the boxes. But the one box that we could not agree on was location. I was moving back to the Philippines. He was never gonna leave Spain. And I was never gonna stay. And hindi ako madam na attach. I'm so proud of myself. I was like, okay, like, he could be quote unquote the right guy. He could be quote unquote the totga. But if at the end of the day, yung non-negotiable ko of staying in the Philippines and being with my family, if hindi siya ma-meet, next. And it wasn't
Totoo.
because wala akong pakialam sa kanya or like I didn't care. It's more, I've established my boundaries from the get-go. So I don't set high expectations to the point na aasa ako every time I find somebody na, oh, like, yay, ganyan. I mean, of course, it hurt. Like, I cried and I had like, I was gonna say I had five guys. I mean, like the fast food. Yung kumain ako ng fast food.
Okay.
Umiiyak pa ako kila Janica and Garage nun. But, after that initial, like, emotional meltdown, I was like, I knew, kahit na umiiyak ako, I knew that it was right to walk away. And look at me now. I mean, hindi naman sa
Totoo.
nagmamayabang ako, but like, I'm very, very happy with my relationship with ako bahala guy. And alam mo yun, it's not perfect, but at the same time, alam ko yung boundaries ko. I know what I deserve. I know what he deserves. Kasi syempre, that's also part of it. It's not just about what we deserve, but what we can give. Kung halimbawa, yung ko dun sa the guy I dated in Spain, I can't give him like staying in Spain. Like, I can't give him the same location. Like, that's not something I can offer. I am not gonna be living there. And I think it was just fair na I let him go so he can find someone who will fulfill that. You know, he can find someone who will want to stay and move to like a little town in the north of Spain with him, have that life. It's never gonna be me. I was always gonna be a Manila girly, and I'm happy about it. And I'm glad that I met somebody who has the same dream, who has the same trajectory in life. And now I don't have to compromise my family. I don't have to compromise my career for one. I don't have to compromise those things. I met somebody because I walked away when I needed to.
Yes.
Imagine kung hindi ako nag-move on, guys, paano ko mamimit yung jowa ko ngayon?
Totoo yan. Tsaka, Madam Ayin, that's the thing eh. Feeling ko concrete steps on how to know when to walk away is that, number one, you really have to know your non-negotiables. Dapat alam mo kung ano yung pwede i-compromise at hindi talaga pwede i-compromise. Kasi, again, with relationships, hindi naman yan magiging perfect. Pero ano ba dito sa mga values or mga non-negotiables mo, yung okay lang at meron din dapat na as in talagang hardcore non-negotiable nga eh. Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So, hindi mo pwedeng i-bend. So, yung takeaway ko lang doon, madam, sa walking away is that dapat talaga eto yung boundaries mo eh. And dapat respetuhin mo yan. Kasi, kung hindi mo re-respetuhin yung boundaries mo, ikaw yung maaapektuhan. Ikaw na naman yung mag-a-adjust,
Oo, totoo.
Diba?
Tsaka, yung having like a concrete and very, very, parang nakikita mo talaga yung mga non-negotiables mo. It makes you look at things objectively because in the moment, if you're in love, you're in love. That's emotions. It's hard to deal with that. Pero, being able to look at things and zoom out and realize, okay, it's more than just what I feel right now. It's easier. Alam mo, madam, I just remembered, I have a checklist. Wow, I have a checklist. I have a checklist of my non-negotiables. I just found it. Hinanap ko siya. I pulled it up because I remember I had this. And kailan ko ba ito? Madam, 2020 ko. September 2020 ko siya inano. That
non-negotiables reveal.
Madam, last September 22, 2020 ko siya inedit. And I met my boyfriend October 2020. Ano na? 1 month after I wrote this all down. Okay, ito, reveal. So, this is my non-negotiables. Madam, nakakatawa kasi kung makita mo to. Nasa Google Keep ko siya. Tas ang title, Refuse to Settle. Ang title ng file, Refuse to Settle. Tapos, ang mga non-negotiables ko, kindness, grit, stability, love, affection, loyalty, friendship. Kasi I want to be friends with my significant other. Attraction, syempre, kailangan. Crush ko rin siya.
Hello.
Respect, support, fitness. Because I wanna be,
Siyempre.
like, I wanna have a partner na parehas kami ng lifestyle. So, fitness, health and wellness, initiative. Important yung initiative.
Totoo.
Like, I can't be the only one making this work. Humor, I know, I need humor in my life. Family is important. Kailangan they get along with my family. Effort, wit, communication, optimism, and lastly, proximity. Proximity. We need to be in the same place. That was my non-negotiable because sabi ko talaga, I want to be here. So, ayun. Ayun, wala
Oh
lang.
my
Nakakatuwa lang
gosh.
because now that I'm looking at it, wow, like, I wrote all of that down. And while I was going through my single lady phase, mga almost 4 years ako single, ang tagal kong single pero hindi ako nagre-regret na I really held out for somebody who would meet my non-negotiables. Na ako rin, fit din sa non-negotiables niya. Alam mo yun? Like, parang it's not just me demanding these things, but at the same time, like, swak kami for each other. Not perfect, obviously, but perfect enough. Whoa! Sorry. I can't stop wowing our Masyado ako nabibilib sa aming content today, Char.
Sino ka dyan? Sobrang totoo yan, madam. Never ever settle. So, I think assignment natin yan sa mga single madamhood and brotherhood right here. Gawa na kayo ng mga non-negotiable lists nyo. Never
Ilista
settle.
nyo.
Refuse to settle list. Ayan.
Pero if you can, madam, if you can notice, guys, hindi siya looks or mga superficial stuff. They're values. So,
Ako
hindi
din.
siya, non-negotiable ko, 5'11". Like, guys, that's,
Totoo.
stop. That's not what we're
Totoo.
talking about. Non-negotiable, chinita. No. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the values
Totoo.
na
Kasi if you'll be with them in the long run, yun talaga eh. Parang relationship, values. Kasi kung hindi rin kayo swak sa values ng isa't isa, might as well move on. Ganon. And walk away.
Walk away. No, walking away is a good thing, okay? It's not a bad thing. It's not quitting. Walking away is a step forward.
Totoo yan. Speaking of quitting, madam, since tapos na tayo sa relationships, we can maybe talk about career then. Career.
Ooh.
Meron bang time in your life na ayoko na nitong career na to, I have to move on, hindi na ako masaya, or maybe about your boss or about the company. May mga ganun ka bang kwento about
My
your
hardest walk away career-wise, madam, was leaving Spain. That was so hard for me. Kasi, as you know, I love that country in the sense ang saya ng lifestyle. They're so chill. I was independent. I'm very attached to Spain kasi it was especially Madrid. Kasi dun ako naging independent girl. You know, dun ako naging independent woman. Dun ako nag-build ng character ko, ng identity ko. But I decided to walk away because, number one, I did not want to teach forever. Like, that wasn't something that I wanted. Number two, I really wanted to be close to my family, and being away was not for me. Hindi ko talaga kaya. As in, like, I'm a proud homesick person.
Same.
Like, I always get homesick. Lalo na pag winter, na homesick talaga ako. And lastly, na-realize ko na ang career ko, content creation, I wanted to be with the Filipino community. I wanted to be home. So, sabi ko, oh my gosh, madam, yun yung pinakagrabe kong iyak sa airport. Like, more than my LDR relationship, sa airport when I left Madrid, grabe, hagulgul ko. Kala mo namatayan, kala mo iniwan ng jowa. Pero I was walking away from my favorite city. And that was so hard because I wasn't sure if I would make something out of myself in Manila. Hindi ko alam kung magiging worth it ba yung pag-alis ko sa Spain? Like, would my life be better in Manila? Because everyone is like, you go abroad to have a better life, di ba? Like, who goes back to the Philippines to have a better life? That's unheard of. Pero that's what I was doing. And in that moment, it felt like quitting. It felt like I quit on this amazing opportunity in Spain. It felt like, and even people online, people were telling me, akala ko ba independent woman ka? Ba't ka uuwi sa Pilipinas? Parang, ba't ka uuwi sa magulang mo kung independent ka? Tapos parang, it was so hard because I continuously questioned myself. But at the same time, I also knew deep down na I had the vision for my future. And what I wanted was not going to happen through Spain. Parang I realized na I needed to walk away when my current career choices were not bringing me closer to what I wanted to do. And at the end of the day, I wanted to be a Filipino content creator based in the Philippines, creating jobs in the Philippines, being close to my family in the Philippines. Ay, ewan ko, like, ang hirap mahalin ng Pilipinas pero gusto ko talaga dito.
Ako din.
Ayun. And when I realized that, madam, nilaban ko talaga siya na kahit ang tagal kong ginapang and pinrove. Alam mo yun, like, ang tagal kong parang, di naman ako kumikita ng maayos. Ang tagal kong tinatry gumawa ng content years before I really was able to establish it as a career. But I had the vision. I had the vision in my head of how things would be. And more than just a vision, I had a plan. I had action steps that I needed to take. And I knew that if I stuck to them, I would be able to make them happen. I continuously evaluated if something didn't work out, as in I'll walk away from that. If something didn't work out, I'll walk away, revisit, reevaluate, do it again. Alam mo yun? And I think because I was not afraid to walk away from things that used to serve me, it brought me closer to where I wanted to be. So for example, I walked away from Sunkissed Somewhere. That for the longest time was my YouTube channel. And I was really holding on to that, Sunkissed Somewhere. Pero na-realize ko, hindi nila ako ma-recognize. Like, they don't know who Ayin Bernos is because all of my content is Sunkissed Somewhere, Sunkissed Somewhere. When I go to events, uy, si Sunkissed Somewhere. Like, that's cool and all, but I also want to make a name for myself. So I let go of Sunkissed Somewhere and I started creating content as Ayin Bernos. So yung mga ganong stuff, like I really needed to have checkpoints and ask myself, okay, is this working? If hindi siya nag-work, I'll walk away from it. Next. And then finally, iterate, like what you said.
Yes.
Sa'yo kaya natutunan eh. After iterating so many times, you will find something that will work for you. And then it's a matter of taking the risk and being uncomfortable, knowing na experimenting and exploring will bring you closer to where you want to be. So yeah, that would be mine.
Iteration is key. I just honestly realized na life is really a series of changes, a series of iterations. Kasi if you have one goal, it can never be just one goal. It really grows. It really varies. Even your goals get iterated every time.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay. Ako naman, madam, career-wise, mahal na mahal ko talaga yung pagiging hotelier ko. So, if you don't know it yet, mga madam, I have been a hotelier for 5 years and I really thought I was a career woman. I would retire as a general manager of a large hotel chain someday. Parang gusto ko talaga, as in, I love making people special. I like giving gifts. I like preparing for events, mga ganyan. Talaga, anniversary nyo? Sige, akong bahala. I'll make you feel special. Okay, isa-surprise mo girlfriend mo. Okay, akong bahala. Ganon. I've always been that kind of woman and I really wanted that as a career. Tapos, then, nagkaroon ng idea. Ito si Josh kasi. Ayan. Siya talaga yung nagpo-push sa akin na, Riz, you can be a businesswoman. Tapos parang ako, as a career woman who loves, loves, loves my career. As in talaga, mahal na mahal ko yung career ko. Nung na-injectan ako ng ganun na thought, sobrang natakot ako. Natakot ako na, kaya ko ba talaga to? Can I really walk away from a career I really love na talagang pinave ko na yung way ko na magre-retire ako as a general manager of a large hotel chain. And isa-stop ko yun para mag-restart ako ng business na wala akong kaalam-alam, wala akong ka-experience. Hindi ko nga alam paano maging businesswoman eh. Tapos, then, na-realize, nag-SWOT analysis ako, madam. I swear. Gusto kong mahanap yung SWOT analysis kong yun. So, mga madam, ang SWOT analysis is creating four grids na may nakalagay strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, yun. Talagang nilista ko. If I get to be a businesswoman someday, ano yung pwede kong maging strengths? Ano yung mga threats naman sa akin? Ano yung mga opportunities and weaknesses ko. So, syempre, nilista ko yon isa-isa. So, sabi ko, strength, I have a lot of ideas, ganyan. Weaknesses is wala akong know-how, wala akong kaalam-alam talaga. Lakas ng loob lang ang meron ako noon. Pero, honestly, that time, kahit nga lakas ng loob, wala eh. Kasi, as in, parang you're paving a way into something na wala ka talagang alam. Pero alam mong may potential ka. Ganon. Yeah. Parang kahit 10% alam kong, wait lang, baka made talaga ako to be a businesswoman. Tapos parang biglang nagkaroon ako ng vision na, wait lang, in my deathbed, ano ba yung gusto kong ipagmalaki? Kung dadalawin ako ng younger self ko in my deathbed, ano yung pwede kong maipagmalaki sa kanya? Na for example, hi 18-year-old Rizza, ito yung ginawa mo sa buhay mo. Tinanong ko sa sarili ko, ano ba yung pwede kong sabihin? Sabihin ko ba na, okay, marami akong mga VIPs na natulungan sa surprise ng mga asawa. Hindi ata ganun eh. Parang nagkaroon ako ng vision na I really want to help people as much as I can, whenever I can, however I can. Yun yung parang, baka ganun ako. Tapos hanggang sa na-explore ko na siya, na tinry ko kahit takot ako, kahit wala akong kaalam-alam. Medyo personality ko siya, madam. Na parang I get the thrill when kapag kunwari sasabihin ko sa sarili ko na kaya ko ba yun? Pero gagawin ko pa rin. Tapos, oh my God, kaya ko pala. Ganon.
Yes.
That's what I did with business. That's what I did with content creation. That's
Public
what I did
speaking.
Public speaking. Oh my gosh, mga madam, kung makikita nyo yung season 2 ng Camp Confidence, nakaka-join ko pa lang, sobrang awkward ko talaga. And I think that's always the key when you want to have a breakthrough in life, na lagi kong sinasabi na, yun nga, do things even if takot ka, even if you just have a 10% of vision na baka kaya ko. Kasi, what if kaya mo nga talaga? And, if hindi naman mag-work, di okay, next vision, ganon. Tapos, hanggang sa'yo na nga, oh my God, kaya ko pala maging businesswoman, no? Tapos hanggang sa in-embrace ko na siya ng sobrang totoo na, okay, I claimed it. I am a businesswoman. Tapos, ayan tuloy, ang dami na yung pinagagawa sa buhay niya after. Pero ayun nga, I think, ang gusto ko lang ding i-impart sa mga madam is there will always be a crossroad in your life na choosing between one scary thing pero may vision ka and then one comfortable thing. Na feeling ng mga, na kilala ng tao na, ikaw si Rizza the hotelier. Pero may 10% ako sa sarili ko na I am Rizza who helps people through her businesses. And then, lalo kapag bata pa kayo, oh my God, marami pang energy. Why not take that risk? Of course, calculated risks all the time. And if meron naman ding nakikinig dito na medyo in their older, mga kaedad ko na, ganon, or older than me, it's also never too late. Kasi merong mga tao na, 50 na ako, hindi ko na kayang share ko lang din na very inspiring yung mom ko. Kasi she's 52, 53 right now. And self-taught siya with piano. So, natuto siya. Meron, nag-organ siya. Tapos, very proud siya kasi nag-organ na siya. First time niya mag-organ sa choir nila. Tapos, wala lang.
That's so nice.
It's just really inspiring na it's never too early and it's never too late to decide on that crossroad. And, yun nga, know when to walk away sa mga bagay na alam mong hindi ka na nag-grow. Yan yung mga telltale signs ko eh. Kapag hindi na ako nag-grow, business-wise naman, if hindi na profitable,
Yes.
if you are not happy anymore, relationship-wise, ano pa ba? Kapag hindi mo na nakikita yung future mo doon, can also be applied in life, in relationships, and in business. Yun. And always, kahit ano mang sabihin ng iba, kahit anong tingin ng iba sa'yo, choose yourself, choose your happiness, and never compromise. Yun talaga.
Love that. And I think, Madam, like to add to what you said, walking away, na-realize ko through this conversation, is not, it doesn't have to be agad-agad. It doesn't have to be one big step. It can be slowly chipping away and slowly taking a detour. Alam mo yan, dahan-dahan. So for example, like you, when you walked away from being a hotelier, you didn't do it one big step at a time. Alam mo yun, like, bye, I'm gonna stop being a hotelier. I'm now an entrepreneur. It was like slowly pivoting from, diba, you did your 9 to 5 and then you worked in the evenings. Alam mo yun, it was a slow pivot. But at the same time, it was still walking away. Because I feel like people have that impression now when you walk away from something, it has to be abrupt. It has to be a big leap, big risk. But if you're risk averse like us, ako medyo risk averse ako in the sense na I'll risk it if I know I have a plan B, C, D, E. I'll be fine. I'll be fine, you know. So I do things slowly. So, for example, when I moved back from Spain, diba? I did move back from Spain, but I had mga freelance gigs. Alam mo yun, meron ako freelance work, meron ako savings. So, it doesn't have to be the scary bye, walk away. It can be slow, it can be a work in progress, and you can take time to figure out what you need to do. Because it will take time, and it will take probably the rest of your life. You will keep figuring things out. Like, we're still figuring things out. Even to this day, iteration pa rin ang ginagawa namin. To this day, learning pa rin. To this day, work in progress pa rin. And it's actually a very comforting feeling. Ako, once I've accepted na, okay, I'm always gonna be changing. I'm always gonna be a work in progress. And I'm always gonna be walking away from things in this lifetime. It just became like a fact of life. And now I don't resent or I don't regret when I have to slowly but surely walk away.
Slowly but surely walk away.
Oh, ayan na. So mga madam, anong natutunan nyo? Charot. Ako ang
bilang ating professor today.
Naka-blazer ako today,
Naka-blazer.
guys. Doktora. Call me Doktora.
Yes, Doc.
Oh my gosh. Therapist. Joke. But anyway, guys, we hope you liked this episode of Camp Confidence Radio. Shout out to Hans, who we
Hi.
dedicate this
We love you,
episode
Hans.
to. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to please rate and follow us on Spotify. 5 stars minimum. Thank you. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello. Please subscribe as well para ma-monetize na namin ito.
True.
Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Love you, mga madam. See you on the next episode.